You know us Finnish people, friendly, hardworking, honest, friends for life, the list goes on. But there's unfortunately a number of things that I don't like about Finns. And in this video I'm going to share you 8 of them. But what are those? Let's go check it out. And a short disclaimer, remember that these things are not applied to every Finns. And let's kick off things with the first one, and it's the drinking culture. The thing is that whenever you're going out, you're bound to meet at least a few super drunk, wasted Finns. And the problem with this is that when Finns actually go out and go for drinking, they drink a lot. When I was doing research for this video, I even found a Wikipedia page in Finnish dedicated to Finnish drinking culture. And in this article it was stated that being drunk in Finland is not considered shameful, but in the contrary praised, and is even seen as a trait of being a social person. Can you believe it? When you are drunk, you're being considered a social person. I also found this news article from Helsingin Uutiset, and they had interviewed the sociologist Antti Mauno in 2016, and it said that the average consumption is only a little bit higher compared to the rest of the Europe. But what is different that in European countries, like having alcohol is kind of like a normal in everyday life. For example, if you have a glass of wine or beer with lunch, I guess it's more or less normal. But here in Finland it's not at all common. So if you, for example, see someone taking alcohol with lunch, then it's something really special. The relationship between people and alcohol in Finland is much more special. So when you are drinking, there has to be some sort of special thing. And obviously, back in the days, we used to have this thing called kieltolaki, which meant that selling alcohol was completely forbidden. And that was between 1919 and 1932, so more than 10 years alcohol was completely forbidden. And this also increased smuggling and this kind of things regarding to alcohol. So alcohol here in Finland has kind of this prestigious status, which is kind of a bad thing. However, what I've also read in the news that, for example, young people are drinking less alcohol than before. So at least it's going to the right direction. The problem number 2 we have is jealousy. Finns are a bunch of jealous people. And again, you know, being jealous is kind of normal for human beings. So if we see our friend or someone we know having like a huge fancy car or nice house or a good looking partner, we will be like, shit, like I wish I had that too. But here in Finland it's quite different. And here's the interesting thing. The German-born writer Roman Schatz, was the name correct? Yes, it was, wrote on Iltalehti, Finns are jealous in their own way. They're totally open about it, without feeling shameful about it and making the most of it. If a Finn sees their neighbor getting a fancy car, the Finn doesn't think like, oh shit, I need to get a better car to show him. Instead, what he does, he grabs a baseball bat, goes to the neighbor and smash ups the car. Because the point is that as an underdog, a Finnish person doesn't allow anyone else to have something more that they have. So that's the kind of the moral story of this one. Of course, this doesn't really happen in real life, like they come to smash up the car. At least I haven't heard of this. But the mindset is there. And I totally agree with this mindset. And there's even more to this. Like in Finland, we have this day called kateellisten päivä, which is the day when the public tax information is published. And this means that anyone can check anyone's salary and tax information. For example, if you want to see how much I made money last year, you can just call the tax office and ask, or I'm not sure if it goes by phone number, but you can call the tax office and inquire there. And of course, because we will see how much money people have made and who are the top earners, so it causes even more stir to this, and like people are like, they make so much money, and like there's so much kind of this shitstorm and bullshitting on social media especially. I have also some personal experience. For example, I was bullied at school when I was younger, like between years of 10 to 15, something like that. And one of the reasons was that I got good grades, so I was one of the better students or better pupils in school, and that was one of the reasons why I was picked on, because I was doing better than the others. And yeah, you probably get the point. And the problem number 3 is the bad manners of Finns. Like Finns are in general quite decent, but I would say there's a lot of room for improvement when it comes to like manners. Let me give you a few examples here. Remember, again, these are not things that you might face everywhere, but some of the things what I've clearly noticed. One of these is, for example, greeting your neighbors Like I live in a block of flats and I meet and run into neighbors every once in a while. I always say hi because as a kid my parents thought that it's polite to say hello to your neighbors. And I do get a greeting back most of the time, but every once in a while there's people who don't say anything. And I think it's just completely, it's just, see, there's not even word to I can't even express it in words. Why cannot just say hi? Is it really that difficult, you know? And another thing is, for example, if you're in a public transportation vehicle and someone next to you is trying to leave, and they don't say anything. They just try to come to squeeze, and they even have to touch you, like they're even pushing you aside because they're indicating that they're coming. Why cannot they just say like, excuse me, I'm getting off, could you move a little bit? Simple as that. But for Finns, it seems to be quite a challenge. Another thing is that every once in a while I see some people eating in the restaurants while wearing a hat. And that's just completely vulgar. Like, where's the table manners? No, you have to respect the food. Take off your hats when you're eating. By the way, at any point, if you feel you have something to add to this list, make sure to comment down below. I will read and reply to those. The problem number 4 is the xenophobia. And again, Finns are quite friendly people, but they're not really completely adjusted to having foreigners around here. In Helsinki it's quite okay, but in general I think there's still a lot of room for improving. And another problem here is that Finns are kind of narrow-minded when it comes to treating foreigners. A good example here is that, let's say, if there's a like crime activities. For example, last year we had these criminal offenses by foreigners against young girls. Like there was a sexual offense, which was a huge thing and of course completely unacceptable. But because of these things, many Finns started to be more careful against any foreigner. So it's kind of unfortunate that we have these kind of problems, that we think that all foreigners are possibly bad. Even if that's not the truth. Of course, we have good people and bad people everywhere, just like in Finland. We have good Finnish people, we have bad Finnish people. But this is something that Finns should kind of open their mind a little bit, if you ask me. Another good example was the research where people with foreign names had more challenges finding a job here in Finland. I will put the link in the description. Make sure to check out that after this video for more. Problem number 5. Finns are being too humble, too modest, and what was the third one? Too careful. Next problem we have is that Finns are too humble, too modest, and too careful. I do understand it. We Finns are kind of taught to be, humble and moderate. And as a Finn, I do understand that we Finns are taught to be kind of humble and moderate. We don't like to brag, and it's not really seen as a good thing here in our society. But I feel that we Finns are a little bit too humble. We downplay and underrate our skills and competence. And in addition, I think we Finns usually settle for less than striving for something much better. Here's the deal again when it comes down to the mindset. So if someone plans to go for something great, like they want to start a completely new business or make a mind-blowing new innovation, usually the common reaction is why you should bother, like you're not gonna succeed anyway. Like Finns are kind of pessimistic in this way. And even if someone succeeds at whatever they're doing, they launch a good business and stuff, people still tend to kind of discourage him, for example, with hate comments. And I have actually good personal experience because my YouTube channel has been growing quite nicely over the past 2 years. We have more than 20,000 subscribers. But what I've noticed that I've started to get hate comments, especially from Finns. That's usually what happens, like when you start to make an impact, you're growing with numbers, there's people trying to slow down, and that applies especially here in Finland. So I've got quite a bit of hate comments from Finns, but you know, I just try to reply to something funny and just move on, because I know it's kind of part of their journey, especially here on YouTube. Problem number 6 is Finns always complain about things. And here's something to introduce this topic better. So Bruce Orek, the former US ambassador for Finland, told some years ago that the biggest problem in Finland are the Finns themselves, because they always complain about lots of things and they don't believe in themselves. And this actually stirred up quite a bit of discussion on social media again, both for and against this. One of the comments against this was something like this, that this is part of the Finnish nature, that we are supposed to complain about things. And as a Finn, reading that comment made me like, oh fuck, here we go again, them Finns. But there were also some good positive comments related to this. saying something like, yeah, that's good speech, good stuff, or like we agree that we Finns are being too humble, too modest, and we often think too much what other people think about us. We just go for it and make our best and see what happens. And I have to say that I also sometimes fall this for myself. For example, if my YouTube videos don't get as much of views or my Instagram followers are not growing, whatever, then I might realize that should I really be complaining about? Like, everything's quite well in my life. I have a roof above my head, I have a job, I have a master's degree, I live in Helsinki, I'm healthy, I'm going to the gym, I don't have to fear when I head for the streets. So actually life is pretty good. But sometimes we Finns kind of forget that we are living in a pretty nice welfare state, and then we start to complain about these small, not as significant things. The problem number 7 is that Finns don't really talk. And yeah, we already concluded that Finns don't say hi to neighbors, but there's more to this. For example, we can easily extend this to small talk. Like, Finns don't really do small talk, but the problem here is that no one just dares to initiate the small talk. I've had a number of awesome small talk conversations in my life with Finns, and I managed to have those because I was the first to open my mouth. But there's more problems to this, what I've noticed. For example, at workplaces, if you are discussing about some decisions and stuff, I find it's quite difficult sometimes to disagree against like a majority. So for example, if you're voting about something and you have a disagreeing opinion, it's quite difficult to bring it up. And it's easier just to accept it and be quiet. And the same thing is, for example, with relationships. Like, for example, Finnish women always complain that Finnish guys don't talk. Well, it could be also the other way around, but the problem here is that, for example, the Finnish guys don't talk about their problems, what they're really feeling and what should be fixed. Because I guess we just think it's kind of nuisance and difficult to raise the cat to the table, as we say in Finnish. If you ask me, I think in general we do kind of lack this open, encouraging environment to speak freely. Like, if you disagree, like, boom, okay, if anyone has disagreeing opinions, just feel free to let them know without shooting them down on the spot. So I think that's definitely something we Finns should improve. And that problem number 8 is that Finns are a little bit too conservative. And what I mean by this, that Finns usually have this resistance against change. For example, finding new innovative ways to do stuff or finding new best practices. I think Finns are kind of this old school people. We've done this for years like this, why should we change this? And there was a good comment by Alan Salehzadeh, who is a researcher focusing on geopolitical conflicts, and he commented that instead of Finland and Finnish being bold and brave about their opinions on things, they first see like what Sweden and Germany are doing and follow their example after that. Whenever I see these kind of things, I'm like, that has to be true. I completely agree with this. So yeah, Finns are a little bit too careful, maybe a little too much insecure to make these kind of brave decisions in general. And if you want to understand us Finnish people better, speaking and understanding the language is the key. And if you join my email list, I can send you my free introduction to spoken Finnish course to your email, and you can get it sign up from the link in the description. I can send it there. And make sure to also subscribe for more fantastic videos in the future. And I'll see you next time. Moi moi!